Well, when last I spoke to you, it was 2024, and now it's 2025, and there were once 32 teams in the NFL, and we're down to the last 14. Welcome to Mike and the Feather, the Vegas podcast, NFL Super Wild Card Weekend edition. With me, as always, is Jason, aka the Feather. If I sound a bit off, also last time I talked to you, I just started coming into having the flu, and now I'm coming just out of it. So I know many of you out there are probably getting over illness. Hope you're doing better. Glad you're with us today. I'm not going to do much of the talking as usual. Jason's going to take command of the show. How was your new year so far, bud?
It's good. I mean, December went out like a lion and went fast, and here we are, new year, and yeah, hopefully you get better, brother. You've been battling this cold for about a week plus now, and
this is the most I've actually been sitting up in the last 7 days. So we'll see if I topple over. Just pay attention to the picks. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'll drag my body off. Bulk pickup is this Friday.
He's playing injured like Patrick Mahomes did with that high ankle sprain.
I've had to make 2 videos in 7 days.
Yeah.
This is so unfair.
Yeah, not enough rest time. He's going to file a complaint.
But thank you guys for being here. If you haven't already, got a few more weeks of NFL picks with us before we go transition to our normal Vegas content. Make sure you like and subscribe. Welcome to all our new subs. We hope you've been making a lot of money off of us this season. If you're just joining us, there's still some time to do so in the next 5 weeks of crazy football. Last week for week 18, what we basically call the shit show week, Jason was 9-7 overall on the picks, 2-1 on Take It to the Bank, and that made your overall picks for Take It to the Bank in recent weeks was at?
We're 21 and 6. 21 and 6 and Take It to the Bank, whatever percentage it is.
It'll be on the screen.
Yeah, 21 and 6, so out of the last 27. So it's been a good run. The Bengals, we hit on the Chargers last week. Obviously, the contingency came through. Pittsburgh lost. Chargers were an easy take it to the bank at that point against the lowly, pathetic Raiders. Unfortunately, the Bengals fell short by a half point. That was brutal all across the board for us and for my circa million. We hit on our, -3, but they pulled Jaden Daniels and made that game closer than it needed to be against a pathetic Dallas Cowboys team. So let's get into it this week. I'm looking forward to one wild card weekend. Lots of excitement as wild card weekend always is.
All right, guys. So that's what Jason says. We're getting Super Wild Card Weekend, 6 games this week. Let's take a look at all of the Feathers picks for that Super Wild Card Weekend. All right, we have games Saturday, Sunday, and Monday this week spread across the board. So we got 2 on Saturday starting at 1:30 p.m., and that is going to be the battle between the Los Angeles Chargers, finishing the season with an 11-6 record. They are 2.5-point favorites on the road at the Houston Texans, who finished up 10-7, winning their division.
Yeah, it's the matchup that pretty much everyone in the AFC when they were battling for this playoff position for the Chargers and the Steelers, everyone wants to play the Texans because the Texans seem to be the team that is kind of gimping into the playoffs. The loss of Tank Dell is huge. Yesterday, they obviously played well against a really bad Tennessee Titans team, but that didn't mean much. They didn't play their starters most of the game. It's going to be interesting. I really wish it would have been the Texans with Tank Dell and their full regiment, but unfortunately that's not the case. The Chargers are trending up and up and up. I mean, this team is, I believe, a better team than the 11-6 record. It took a few weeks. Justin Herbert came into the year banged up significantly, and they just did this run, ground and pound and defense kind of thing. Now Justin Herbert's passing better, and these young receivers are stepping up, and he's actually got some targets to throw to. Quentin Johnson, holy man, that guy, he had a big game yesterday. He's had troubles with drop balls and different stuff like that. I feel like Jim Harbaugh is just going to be the X factor. There's so much experience, so much winning by this guy, college, pro, it doesn't matter. The Chargers are firing all cylinders. They got J.K. Dobbins back. He's rested because of his injury, and he looked good last week. When he looked good yesterday when he played some of that time. This Chargers team is going to be too much for a Texans team that is depleted at the receiver position, and I think overall there's just like a kind of a negative flow going on with this team after the loss of Tank Dell and that big swing against the Chiefs. We're going to take the Chargers to the bank all day long. The Chargers -2.5. They're going to get it done on the road. The home team usually holds par a lot of times in the wild card weekend, and in this case, though, the Chargers are going to come in on the road They're going to get the W. Boom.
And the evening game starting at 5 p.m. It's the run it back match. This is like in WWE when you have the first matchup, the rubber band match, and then you basically have Hell in a Cell to finalize the series. We have the Steelers on the road with finishing up at 10-7 at the Baltimore Ravens, finishing up at 12-5. The Ravens are 9.5-point favorites at home. And to remind you how this season went, the Steelers took the first one by 2 points back in November, and then the Ravens basically stomped on the Steelers 34-17 towards the end of December. So which teams of these that we've seen throughout the season are going to be battling here? Because it hasn't been that long since they played recently.
The Steelers have some problems. The Ravens, as you see, Lamar Jackson is firing on all cylinders. The last 5 weeks have been huge for him. A big push for the MVP race. His stats have been outstanding. His decision-making's been outstanding. The Steelers are the exact polar opposite. George Pickens can't catch a ball. He dropped a ton yesterday. I wouldn't say costing the game, but it didn't help. Russell Wilson and George Pickens seem to have a little bit of a strained relationship on the team. And really, George Pickens kind of has become that Antonio Brown this year. He's kind of been whiny and problematic. Early on, when they were winning games, the Steelers were, Russell Wilson was getting these lollipop bombs, and George Pickens was catching everything, these 50-50 balls. That's not happening right now. There's some sort of issues going on. They've lost, 4 or 5 in a row. The Ravens at home, you're talking about teams that are trending the exact opposite direction from each other. A lot of points in a division battle. I never thought I would see a Ravens-Steelers matchup, teetering on 10 points. Seems really high. But I just don't have any confidence in this team. Russell Wilson is not exactly playing great. The defense is not exactly being, top notch like the Steelers tend to be as a team and as a franchise. The running game is okay. Jalen Warren didn't do anything yesterday. Najee Harris was okay, but I just don't see it. Derrick Henry is the one big change going into the playoffs where, we know Lamar Jackson's known for choking really bad. The one big change is the addition of Derrick Henry. We saw what he did yesterday. Lamar Jackson does not need to do it on his own. And as long as John Harbaugh sticks to the running game and doesn't put it on Lamar Jackson completely, like they have done in past years, they've been a good running team, but then they abandon the run like they did last year in the playoffs, and it cost them. That's not going to be the case this year. The Ravens are going to absolutely curb stomp the Steelers. Take the Ravens to cover the 9.5. It seems like a lot of points in the playoffs, but I just don't see the Steelers team. They're missing something, and they're not going to find it this year anymore. I believe the Ravens are going to win this game easily by 14 to 21 points. Take the Ravens. Boom.
Let's move on to Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. The Denver Broncos making their first playoff appearance since Peyton Manning was handed a Super Bowl. I'm just going to be honest, was handed Super Bowl 50. They finished up the season, though, at 10-7, so congrats to Bo Nix for kind of bringing them along and looking good as a rookie. But they have an unenviable task of taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, who finished the season at 13-4. And similar to our last game, the Bills have an almost 10-point favorite right now. They are minus 8.5 at home.
Yeah, congratulations to the Broncos. A big turnaround from the last few years where they were just absolutely terrible. Sean Payton has managed to turn this team around. They make the playoffs. Did they earn it? That's up for debate, okay? The Kansas City Chiefs are catching a lot of heat. They literally had zero heart and zero fucks about yesterday's game. 38-0. You're a 15-1 team, and you can't put up a single point. The message was sent. They didn't care. They didn't want to score anything. Granted, they have this recipe of winning lately, so they think, okay, we're just going to... But there is something that's called fairness for the league. The Cincinnati Bengals deserve to be in the playoffs. They are not, because the Chiefs chose to tank. And you can hide behind rest and all this sort of stuff, but that was what caused the NBA to have its demise, is load management, resting, and this Ole bullshit. Why have a week 18 if teams aren't going to try? When they don't have to. I feel like that's not fair. I understand from one standpoint, preserving from injuries, but in this case, it literally, swings the competitive balance, which is the whole point in the NFL, to have the best teams on the field in the playoffs. And Denver didn't earn it. The Bengals did. And Denver's there. So we'll see what Denver does. Maybe they're going to, Bo Nix, happy for him. Rookie campaign, looking really good. Him and Jaden Daniels as rookies in the playoffs. That's exciting stuff. This Broncos team is up against it in this game. Josh Allen is an absolute juggernaut. Cook is just running wild. I believe that their defense has kind of turned the corner, and it's going to improve. It had a rough stretch against Detroit and some other teams. I think at home, the Buffalo Bills is a recipe for victory. 8.5 points. There's a lot of big spreads in the playoffs in this wild card weekend. The Bills are going to roll. They earned it. Okay, the Bills are rested, and they're ready to do it at home. Take the Bills -8.5. They're going to get it done against this young Broncos team. The future looks bright with Cortland Sutton looking great. Bo Nix, this team all around. The defense very solid. If it was the Bengals, it'd be a different story. The Bengals would have a better shot to spread it. Ironically, the spread would be quite a bit lower if it was the Bengals. It would probably be about 3.5, 4.5, maybe 5. In this case, it's not. It's 8.5. It's Denver, a team that is solid, but I don't think they should be there. The Bengals should be in their place, like I said. Didn't happen. Broncos are going to get one on the chin this game. Bills advance. Bills cover. Boom.
Sunday's second game, starting at 1:30 p.m., takes us all the way back to September 6th, week 1 in the NFL, as the Green Bay Packers, finishing up at 11-6, are on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles, who finished up at a very strong 14-3. The Eagles are 4.5-point favorites on the road. I know we had some Christian Watson is hurt. Jordan Love had some elbow tingles, as they kept talking about it on the broadcast. Is it more than his funny bone? And Battle of the Green, running it back. I know where you'd like this to be, but what's your feelings on this game with the spread?
All right, so the Eagles, you got Jalen Hurts, who's going to be ready to go. I mean, concussion protocol, he should be ready. I mean, we'll see. I mean, concussions, you never know. Everyone, is affected differently. But Saquon Barkley's on this team. He's a beast. The defense is playing great. They seem to be firing on all cylinders, even with the third-string quarterback yesterday. I mean, it was against the lowly Giants, of course. Without a doubt, they got the victory at home to, pad their record to 14-3. The Packers, on the other hand, all I got to say is the Bears still suck, because guess what? Congratulations, you got that stupid field goal at the end. Oh, but for that, you're still a top 10 draft pick and a top 10 for the third or fourth year in a row. By getting a win, you killed yourself, because you could have been a top 5 or 6 draft pick. You finally got your monkey off the back, and you beat the Packers first time since 2018, and you jumped in, your players tried to jump in the stands like at Lambeau, like you did something. You have won 5 games. There's nothing to be excited about. Jordan Love didn't play hardly any game. Josh Jacobs didn't play hardly any game. Yes, we lost Christian Watson. It's official. He has a torn ACL and further damage. So he's actually in doubt for next year's beginning of the season as well with this injury. That's a big weapon that's lost. Green Bay is not playing great as of late. They definitely came out sluggish yesterday. I feel like the coaching decisions were not up to par. That third down play with 12 seconds left, where they put back McKinney and the 2 guys like 30 yards back. I mean, there was time for them to get a first down and get a few yards and kick a field goal. They should have been playing man coverage only with 1 safety back, maybe. I don't know who made that decision or what they were thinking. I mean, they weren't defending against a touchdown. They were defending against a field goal to lose. And it didn't end up mattering for the sake of playoff purposes, but it was just an unnecessary loss. They shouldn't have lost that game, but they did. And I have concerns. Green Bay's offense, I mean, Josh Jacobs has been great, so nothing to take away. He's going to be fine. Jordan Love has been a little bit inconsistent. His stats are good. I mean, it's once again his second year starting. He put up 25 touchdowns, I believe, ballpark, 11 interceptions, and that's missing 3 football games. So really, you can make the argument he's probably a 30 touchdown quarterback for sure. All that leads up to everyone's wanting to know where I'm going to go with this as a diehard Packer fan. The Eagles at home with Saquon Barkley firing on all cylinders. Take the Philadelphia Eagles, as painful it is for me to say. Like I said, unbiased till the end. We're going to take the Eagles -4.5. Can Green Bay win this game? I'm going to tell you right now, this is a game that I would probably just leave alone. I'm not going to be touching this game one way or another, but Philadelphia -4.5 at home. seems like the no-brainer at this point. Being at home with Saquon Barkley and this offense and defense firing all cylinders, Green Bay loses a top 3 wide receiver on their team. Take the Eagles, -4.5. But I would not be surprised if Green Bay pulls an upset, because last time when Green Bay won the Super Bowl, they faced who? The Philadelphia Eagles. Green Bay was the 7th seed. They ran the table, and Aaron Rodgers got his first and only Super Bowl. Will it happen? I don't know. But conventional wisdom and basically everything in front of me, take the Eagles -4.5.
And then capping off Sunday night at 5:15 p.m., we got a battle of 2 people at Pro Bowl stats, but only one person going to that Pro Bowl, and that would be Jaden Daniels leading the Washington Commanders, who did finish the season a surprising 12-5. And they are on the road at Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who finished up at 10-7. Baker Mayfield throwing for over 40 touchdowns this year, but no nod. And also, this is 4 years in a row now the Buccaneers have won their division. Whether you think it was fair or not, you think the upper management was happy that Mike Evans got his extra 9 yards at the end that cost them $3 million, but that's a hell of a record to set. So it's interesting to look at all these people breaking records or potentially breaking records with the extensions of the game. We've talked about that. It's been ad nauseum with what happened with Saquon Barkley and Eric Dickerson. But all of those things won't matter. It depends on who wins, who moves ahead to the next round of the playoffs, and the Buccaneers are 3-point favorites at home in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Buccaneers at home in this one, due to the fact they won a division. Commanders 12-5. I mean, they have been very impressive. Washington has been a bad team for a very long time. New ownership for Washington. This team has seemed to turn the corner. They got great coaching. Jaden Daniels is having a great year. I don't know if he's having a better year than Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield should not have got snubbed. I think that great Jaden. I think they're trying to build up new heroes and different stuff within the league and boost up, Jaden Daniels and a rookie quarterback, and build the league up. That's what they do. It's kind of a popularity contest too, and what he's done is nothing short of amazing with a franchise that has been terrible. But his stats don't match up to Baker Mayfield by any means. But he's outstanding. He's talented. He's dynamic. This team in Washington has all facets of the game. Defense is pretty solid. Special teams is decent. They got a great running game. And, Terry McLaurin, who's been kind of out of the mix the last couple of weeks, he's been huge for them this year. And the other young guys are stepping up as well. Buccaneers, their defense has been the one suspect aspect of this team. But what they've done with no Chris Godwin all year, Mike Evans went out the same time for a number of weeks, and Baker Mayfield weathered the storm with young wide receivers and 2 running backs, Bucky Irving and White, that basically been a nice 1-2 tandem. But the Commanders, in this case, I like them. I like them +3. I'm going to take the points, the 3 points +3. The Commanders can win this game outright, but I believe that they can at least keep it close, worst case scenario. But I think the Commanders are going to actually, expose some of this Tampa Bay defense that does have some problems. Baker Mayfield has been making magic happen, and they're playing great football. But in this case, the rookie gets the best of Baker Mayfield. Commanders move on. Take the Commanders +3. Boom.
All right, we finish up Wild Card Weekend after the weekend on Monday night at 5:15 p.m. This is interesting, right? We got the Minnesota Vikings on the road, finishing up the season at 14-3, taking second in the division, but 5th overall in the seeding, up against the Rams, who finished at 10-7, but first place in their division. So they're actually the home team. And the Vikings coming off of a loss at Detroit where it looked like they had moments where they were going to grab the Lions by the cojones and finish them off, and they just could not seal the deal. Now they're on the road as 1.5-point favorites up against the Rams defense that should be better than Detroit. And if Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp show up, could give the Vikings fits. Vikings, we never expected them to be here. Crazy to see a 14-3 team on the road. You go from potentially sitting out the first weekend to having to play a wild card game with a 14-3 record. So this seems like the most troublesome game of the entire weekend. Where is your thought process gone with this one?
Yeah, I was watching the game last night. Then I went and had some dinner with my wife. The TV was on in the restaurant, and this Vikings team could not close. they got down there. I mean, we can talk about the missed safety that should have been called on a intentional grounding that could have changed the landscape of the game perhaps early, but they got down there, and then 3 times, not 1, not 2, but 3 times on 4th down within the 5-yard line, failed to convert, turned the ball over. It was ugly, and then Detroit just kind of, beat them down from the 3rd quarter on, and it just, it ended up how it did. The Vikings did what they do. They choke in big games. They choke in the playoffs. That's the Vikings' MO, and they lived up to it yesterday. Now we're coming to a tough game. The Rams at home. Early in the year, you wouldn't have thought the Rams were maybe, the way things were trending, that they would even be a playoff team perhaps, right? People were thinking the Niners. They were thinking the Seahawks. Maybe even the Arizona Cardinals stealing one, right? And making, getting a playoff spot. And guess what? All said and done, the Niners are the worst, and the Rams were in first. And here we go. Cooper Kupp, he's been struggling last few games. If they get Cooper Kupp going with Puka Nacua, because that tandem is unstoppable. But Cooper Kupp, as fantasy owners know, he has not been great and showed up the last 4 or 5 weeks for the most part. This running game is outstanding. Sean McVay is a winner. He knows how to win. He has a Super Bowl underneath his belt and is a great young coach. But he's up against another really, really good coach in Minnesota. So now it's like, this is like basically, this is a coin toss, okay? But as far as what I see, Rams advantages, they're at home, okay? I believe that they have pretty equal wide receivers. Quarterback, both sides, I'm going to give the nod to Stafford overall, but Sam Darnold is doing great things, and he continues to shock everybody, and they wonder where was this for the last 5 years prior. And 1.5 points, I mean, you're talking about Minnesota, who's tied for the 2nd best record in the NFC, and they're a 5 seed on the road. They're 1.5 point favorites only, and they got 14 wins to a 10-win team in the Rams. It smells sucker bet, doesn't it? It's like Vegas saying, here, come on, take the Vikings, come on. And that would be the wrong answer, because we are going to take the Rams all day long. LA Rams plus 1.5. They're going to get it done to close out wild card weekend. Rams at home as a 6 seed is going to get it done, beat the Vikings and oust them early. And the Skull is going to be having to wait for another year after this game's over. No more Skull chance. Boom.
Wonder if we might possibly see it, and I highly doubt it, but we get the Gofford Staff rematch. Gofford Staff. That's my new one. Gofford and Staff. The Tennessee Titans or Texans. Wow, I'm leaving that one. That's amazing.
No more cold medicine, kids.
Or plenty more so I can take a nap. But that's the Feathers picks for Super Wildcard Weekend. Definitely a couple of those games, close calls, especially that Vikings game and even the Philly Packers game. There could be a few things. If they find an answer for Saquon Barkley, which no one has this season, they only lost that first game by 5 points, and now they got a whole season of experience behind them. We got another 3 weeks of playoff football after that, culminating in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Our deepest thoughts out to that city right now. Another ridiculous tragedy had to happen on New Year's Day. And, we need to just all be happy and enjoy life and stop finding all the things wrong with it. Likewise, that too, this weekend, enjoy your football betting. If your team's in the playoffs, enjoy it. Be thankful you're one of the remaining teams still there. If you don't win, like the Cowboys always say, there's next season. So stay happy and smiling and enjoy that football. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And Feather?
Yeah, Wildcard Weekend's always exciting. It's kind of like that opening 2 days of March Madness. I mean, that's the easiest thing to compare it against. I'm excited. We're wrapping up football. Suddenly, all of a sudden, it's almost all done, and we got nothing after that. So enjoy and savor the next 3 weeks of football. And until next time, guys, we'll see you next week. Have fun this weekend. Be safe out there. Happy New Year, and take it to the bank. Boom.